Thank you for staying with us now. From a fresh lick of paint to a new kitchen or even just a repair job, we all hire tradesmen to come into our home at some stage. Now, with more and more people opting for home improvements, it's never been more important to make sure that you're getting the service you pay for. Well, this morning we're getting some great advice on how to hire the right man for the right job and, more importantly, pay the right price. And here to tell us more about this is property expert Fiona McLaughlin. Good morning to you, Fiona.
Hi, Alan. Or the right woman for the job.
Or the right woman for the job, yeah, exactly. Man or woman, tradespeople. I mean, this day and age now, we think we're all going to get much better value, that people are going to come in and undercut people's jobs, undercut prices and stuff like that. Is that true?
No, definitely not. I mean, at its peak, we'll say, around about 2007, there were 30,000 young people doing apprenticeships, as opposed to maybe 10,000 a decade before. So we had an oversupply at that time, but because of the building boom, well, I can't say we had an oversupply, but we had a lot more people in apprenticeships. But because of the building boom, obviously, there was still a shortage of people to do once-off jobs and that type of thing. So an awful lot of cowboys, and they deserve to be called cowboys, stepped into the breach at the time and started delivering services that they were neither qualified nor insured to do in many instances.
And a lot of people would have horror stories around the country.
A lot of people, absolute horror stories. I mean, I can't go anywhere, excuse me, without somebody telling me a story about how they've been done or ripped off or whatever. Even in my hairdressers yesterday, just a pump that was put in, brand new, that she paid $4,000 for to get put in. It turns out it wasn't even new when it was put in. So people are dealing with tradesmen and don't really know how to source them or how to know if they're getting the right job done or even if they're capable of doing the job. So we're just going to give people a few tips today on how to source them.
You have some stuff that you need done in your house, you need to get somebody in, so where do we start?
Well, the first place to start is word of mouth, although I don't think that that's enough. Do talk to other people about their experience with electricians, with plumbers or whatever. That is a good place to start.
Well, yeah, if your neighbour or if your friend had a wonderful experience with somebody who came in, doesn't necessarily mean, though, in 2 months' time the thing will break down.
Absolutely not. Or that's something, exactly, that something breaks down, that the person who's given you the word of mouth, it doesn't see the problem until 6 months later. Goes, oh my God, I've had a nightmare. When I flushed the toilet, the water is coming up through the bath and all the rest. So that's a good place to start. Check their references. What jobs they've done. If they're reluctant to tell you where they've done jobs, then that is an immediate red flag. I've had multiple quotations during the week for an electrical job that I needed done. I thought it was quite a simple one where I just needed somebody to come in, check out a house, make sure that where cables had been were closed off safely. And the quotes that I've gotten 2 quotes. One is for 200 and the other is for 2,000. I'll come back and tell you what the difference between the two of them is, but at the moment I'm looking for the details from both people in writing as to what one thinks is.
How can somebody do it for 200 and the other 2,000?
It is most likely that the guy that's coming in at 200 is either uninsured when I look into it, or is unqualified to do the job. So you really need to get more than, very often nowadays, you have leaflets coming through the door with just a mobile number on it.
Exactly.
And that is really,
tradesman, electrician.
It's really dodgy. I can understand that tradesmen do it more than anybody else, but you should still be able to track them down in some way or another by contact address, on a website, or with the governing body.
Not just a mobile number that could be gone tomorrow.
Absolutely. And a very good website, actually, just as we're talking about sourcing somebody, is onlinetradesman.ie, and they're affiliated with RECI, which is the Electrical Contractors Governing Body. They're also partnered with the National Guild of Master Trades or Master Craftsmen. And ideally, you should be going with somebody who is with the National Guild of Master Craftsmen. And
for your own peace of mind.
Yes, you know that they're going to have public liability, you know they're going to have qualifications, so that if something does go wrong, then at least you have some comeback. Because if you contract to get a service from somebody who isn't qualified to do it or isn't legitimately providing the service, then you don't really have a comeback at a later stage.
Get an agreed price. Now,
get an agreed price.
Whether it means anything at all.
Look, we all know people, and unfortunately I'm married to one of them, who hates asking for the price. So they will actually let somebody in to do a job and then ask them afterwards how much it's going to cost.
God, no.
I mean, you're absolutely absolutely asking for trouble if you don't ask for specifics up front. Now, again, online tradesman.ie have a contract that you can print off if you want to actually, actually give that contract and sign it, fill in the details. Basically, you should know how long the service is going to take, who's going to be in your house. Is it going to be the person that's talking to you, that's selling you the service? Are they qualified? Are they insured?
And when you sign that, then if there's an overrun, if there's an overspend, it's their responsibility and not yours.
Well, or they can involve the variables. If A happens, then that may be more. So, but the details are there, and that there's no unexpected added prices afterwards. But absolutely in advance.
When something goes wrong, invariably sometimes it does.
It's not a complaint until you put it in writing.
Right.
You can complain away, but nobody takes any notice really until you put it in writing. I mean, if they do take a verbal complaint and say, listen, we're going to repair that or replace or whatever it might be, great. But if you're not getting any sort of an effective reply, then you need to put it in writing. I would put it in writing to them, and then if the tradesperson, hasn't replied satisfactorily, send it to their governing body, and we'll give a full list of the governing bodies on the forum on our website, so people needn't worry about that for electricians and all the rest. And then ask for correction of the service. According to the Sale of Goods and Supply of Services Act, you are entitled to a correction of the service, repair or replacement. Keep record of all communication. So if you follow up phone calls or whatever, just keep a note of those phone calls if you haven't got, if it hasn't all been.
The problem is as well, Fiona, like over the last couple of years, and people come in and done jobs, half-done jobs, and then just disappeared, and you can't even find them.
Absolutely. I mean, do not pay up front. And we have had instances of people looking for the full amount up front. Now, I can understand stage payments across a long job, because obviously it's difficult on everybody out there at the moment.
They need to buy the raw materials to start keeping the thing going.
But you absolutely should not be paying the full amount up front, and really, ideally, you should be paying the whole amount after the job has been done. Just to give you an idea roughly of how much you should be looking at paying people. Now, this is really a ballpark figure, but just to give people an idea, an electrician roughly between 35 and 40 euro an hour. A plumber, again, roughly about 65 euro an hour. Somebody doing tiling, about 20 to 25 euro a square yard. And a board, make sure if you're doing anything with plumbing and gas that you get a Board Gosh registered installer, and when they're installing the boiler, they will do necessary safety checks that will cost about 154 euro.
Right. Okay.
And top tip for the week.
Top tip for the week
for anybody that wants advice or wants to tell us their horror stories or is just looking for more information. Steve Gearan, the doorstep doctor from the Sunday Tribune, is actually going to be giving advice on the Private Seller Forum over the next few days.
Privateseller.ie.
So we want to hear all your stories, good and bad. And if you have good people that we can refer to as well, let us know about them.
And maybe come in next week and tell us about them.
Absolutely, yeah.
And we'll go through some of them and sort of get really good stories. Some people who are getting great service out there,
all about them.
And then some people who are getting terrible service as well, and we go through some of that. But some good tips there, and just be careful, be careful, because some people are spending an awful lot of money on getting
and
these,
get multiple quotations. The only way that you can really know if somebody is scamming you or not is to get somebody else in the profession to say, this is what you should actually be paying. And it roughly takes about 3 to be able to decipher that and figure it out.
Okay, Fiona, as always, thank you very much. We'll talk to you next week. Now we're going to take a quick break. Lots more in the next hour of R&D, and we'll see you in a couple of minutes.